Hello and welcome to another Python video. This time we're going to be talking about data types and how to use them, why you should be using them correctly, and how to create a variable in Python. So main data types that we're going to be looking at are string, which can be text and numbers, integer, which has to be a whole number, float, or also known as real number, which may contain a decimal point, boolean, which is true or false, it's one or the other, and a character, e.g. the letter A, just a single character. It's really important that you get this right. If you don't specify exactly what the data type is, or there's some problem, if you're trying to do a calculation, you've got a string, the program, you're going to get an error. You're going to get a logical error because it was expecting an integer to be input, for example, and it got a string, so it's not going to be able to make a calculation. That's quite logical if you think about it. If the program is expecting 10, the number 10, it gets TEN. It's not going to be able to make a calculation with that. It needs to have the number 10 as an actual number. So string, for example, if you're dealing with phone numbers, I would always put that down as a string, otherwise it's going to knock off that leading 0. So 01225 would be 1225, which isn't actually a phone number in the United Kingdom. In Python we can go and have a look at that. So here I am in the command prompt, and if I type the function type like that, I can type in a word here and it will tell me what data type it is. So I've typed in dog in quotation marks and it correctly tells me that that is a string. I type in a number and it correctly tells me that that's an int or integer. I type in a number with a decimal point in the brackets and it correctly identifies it as a float. I type in true, that is a boolean. I type in false, that is another boolean. So I can see the different data types there. So I've typed in the different data types and Python has correctly identified for that for me. Where I could use that is I could specify exactly how I want the user to give me an input. So I could say age equals int input, please tell me your age, and I'm asking the user there to give me an integer. I don't want 12.5, I don't want 12 spelt out, I want the number 12, and I've specified in my code that that's how that has to be input. That could also be a string. I could have that as a string, str. I could specify exactly how the user is going to input that. In Python, I usually create my variables as I go along, but there may be an occasion where I need to create a constant. I need to create a variable that I use as a constant, and the constant isn't going to change, and I specify that at the top of the program. So I might write the name of my constant. Okay, I'm going to call mine VAT, and VAT at the moment is 20%, so I might just put in 20 there, and I specify that at the top of the program, and that's not going to change. I could also do the same thing with pi, for example. I could write right at the top of my program, I could set the value of pi or the value of VAT, and that is a constant. That's not going to change throughout the whole of my program. So in Python we specify variables as we go along. Variables are things that can change, and it's important that I set the correct data type for that, or I understand what data type I'm expecting the user to input, whether it be a string, an integer, float, or boolean. So that is how to use variables. That's what variables are, and that is data types as well. So variable is a different data type, and it's important in your program that you at least understand what data type is going to be input into your program when you create your variable.